All of us get to a point in our lives when we feel like nothing is working out. I was at such a point when I was around 26 back 3 or 4 years ago, and it was one of the most difficult times of my life. You see, I was a very confident kid growing up. I didn't really have much of a problem of self image and these kind of things, but suddenly, in the middle of my 20s, I started feeling extremely self conscious. I started feeling like everybody was judging me, and I was really being put under a microscope wherever I went. I started having like these negative resentments towards other people and stuff. And this was really, it had started affecting me in a really bad way. My confidence was crumbling day by day, and it did not feel good. But one thing changed it all: just setting a timer for 10 minutes and doing nothing. As ridiculous as it sounds, it's one of the best habits that I've made in my life. The internal peace that this habit has brought me is completely, like, it's immeasurable. Whenever you hear the word meditation, you might feel like, it is done by some monks, or it's only done by Buddhists, or it's only for like really spiritual people and stuff. But it is not. Those are just myths. I have proven to myself that meditation is something that can really change everybody's life, because it is a tool that you can use to really study yourself. Growing up in a Muslim family, meditation wasn't really on my radar. In fact, I actively avoided anything that had to do with any other spiritual practice because it just didn't align with my worldviews at that time. I would just dismiss anything that resembled any other spiritual tradition. But a few years back, when I was going through this tough time, one of my friends suggested that I should meditate while I paint. And as you can see, I already do painting. Um, but that was really peculiar. Meditate while I paint? I mean, what did meditation have to do with painting? I thought. And a few weeks after that, one of my friends gifted me a book called Meditator's Handbook by Ajahn Brahm. It was such a coincidence. I started like, seeing things about meditation everywhere. I was like, what is going on? Now, one golden rule in life that I like to follow is that whenever something comes knocking at your door this many times, you have to kind of like give it a try, see what it is all about. So I went about researching what it was. I thought, okay, before I completely rejected it, but now let me at least see what it is. And I got into researching it. And what I found out was that for meditation to be of any effect, it needs to become a habit. You need to do it like every day. Apparently, not a lot of it is needed, to show some effects. And one of the easiest methods of meditation that I found was just the do nothing meditation. And it is exactly as it sounds. You just do nothing for whatever time you want to do it for. Now, early on, the most difficult thing was to set up a habit. And of course, I had my own personal routine, I had my own professional things, and I felt like I didn't really have any time in the day where I could actually sit down to meditate. And what I noticed was that every morning I was spending like maybe half an hour, or maybe 2 hours some days, just, as soon as I woke up, I got into Instagram and I started scrolling reels, or, watching posts and stuff, watching people's stories. And I decided to kill two birds with one stone. What I thought was, now, every morning when I woke up, I would not look at my phone. I would set the timer for 10 minutes and just do nothing. And boy, do I thank myself for that decision, because it really showed me how addicted I was to social media, basically. So the first day I tried it, I woke up, my hand went to my phone, and I remember that, okay, this is what I need to do. I set the timer for 10 minutes and I put it, and then I just sat there. I just sat there like this. And it was difficult because every few minutes my hand would like automatically twitch towards my phone. And then even when I picked up my phone, I would see that, okay, there's a timer on my phone. Okay, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm meditating. Now, the first day I tried it, didn't really have much effects. But the important thing was that I told myself that I'd do something and I did it. And that feels really, really good. And that I did the same thing the next day, and then the next. and then the next. And suddenly I started feeling so much more empowered to, let go of the habit of looking at social media. Not only that, a few weeks into this practice of not doing anything for the first 10, 15 minutes a day in the morning, I started having these random moments in the day where I felt extremely present. I don't know how to describe this, but I have a garden overhanging my room. And I would look at some random plants, and then, the sun would be shining through the leaves and it would light up the leaves in a certain way. And that would kind of make me feel like, wow, what is going on here? That I felt like those leaves that I'd seen for years of my life were some of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. And that was really interesting to me. And sometimes what happened was that I would even be moved to tears when I looked at, some strange bird that I never saw before. Suddenly I felt like I could bring more presence to the moments that I was having in the day. You can compare this thing to, I think everybody's been on hikes of some sort, or you've seen at least like a beautiful sunset or a beautiful scenery, right? It kind of takes your breath away. You're just like there and you're just like watching, you're like, wow, what is going on? That's just so beautiful. I mean, like the words are, that's beautiful, but there's a sensation behind that you simply cannot describe. So that's why you just say it's beautiful. And that is something that I started having like at random moments in the day. And I was like, wow, there is really something in this thing that I need to explore. And all these effects, it kind of made me hungry for more. I wanted to know, okay, this is what is happening from practicing like a few weeks. What else can I get? What else can I get from this? So I was talking to all my friends and family, and I was telling them, hey, I'm meditating. I'm having all these effects and everything. And one of the friends I met, she told me that I should do this Vipassana retreat. If you don't know what Vipassana is, it's basically a 10, 11-day silent meditation retreat. And when I say silent, I mean completely silent. You cannot speak to anybody during the retreat. You cannot take your phone. You cannot, read or write anything. You're just meditating all day. Of course, you have got certain breaks in between, but basically it's 10 to 12 hours of meditating every day for 10 days straight. And I was like, I have some free time right now. I'm not like, really tied down by any responsibilities. So if I can do this and if I can get through this, then I'm definitely I'll be able to judge what this is or if this has any effect on you or not. And I went into it with a completely open mind. I was like, no matter what happens, I'm just going to be open minded. I'm going to see if it works or not, if it has any effects or not, if it shows any results or not. And I did it, and I had one of the most profound experiences of my life. Now I'm going to talk about this Vipassana retreat in another video. I don't want to, make it too long. But basically, it proved to me that there is really something to explore there. There is something that you can get from sitting and just looking at your thoughts, or doing nothing for a few minutes a day. There's something to grasp and something to get. In short, what this Vipassana retreat taught me was that meditation was not really about chasing some kind of experience or going after some wonderful thing, but it was about changing your relationship to experience itself, to whatever is happening to you every moment. And it is one of the most profound realizations that I've had. Instead of chasing away unwanted moments or unwanted feelings, or running after and grasping for something that you find pleasurable, it's just about experiencing or just fully being with what is happening to you in the moment. As my practice deepened, there's something else that started to happen. My emotional awareness, it started getting stronger and stronger. It started expanding dramatically. Now, I can only explain this to you in metaphor, but before I used to kind of experience emotions in 240p or maybe 3GP files, which is like really choppy, really blurry. But suddenly I started experiencing in my emotions or the feelings that I was having in like 720p or HD quality or even 4K at some moments. And at first, this expanded awareness was like quite overwhelming. I didn't know what to do with it. It was like, having a superpower that I didn't know what to do with, that I had not even asked for. What I realized was that I suddenly started sensing fear much more earlier than it kind of like engulfed me. I started sensing anxiety coming up in me before it became like really overwhelming. And basically, I could just really like understand and feel my emotions a lot more than before. And that really made me wonder, like, what am I supposed to do with all this information? How is it supposed to help me? When something made me angry, I would like react to it, right? I would say something bad or I would say something mean. I would pass a mean comment. But then I suddenly started realizing, wait a minute, there's something more here going on. Let me give you an example. Now, after I started doing this work, I suddenly started talking to my friends and family about meditation and how, it's been like, really changing my life. Now, naturally, everybody was not as enthusiastic about it as I was. And some people even said some really mean things. But very interestingly, I'll give you an example. One of my relatives, when I told them about this thing, they made a really mean comment pointed towards me. And when they did it, normally I would just like react to it. I would say something bad or I would say something mean right back at them. But at this time, I kind of realized that, wait a minute, when they said something mean, I felt my entire body erupt in like these bubbles that were going on everywhere. It felt like my hands were like getting really warm, my feet were getting really warm, and my whole body was like, it was almost in a state of, you know, like this highly energetic state, which was really uncomfortable for me. I was like, what is happening here? I think that was the first time that I understood or that I realized or that I got a good look at anger was, what anger was doing to me. Now, somebody said something mean to me and I got angry and I just kept looking at what that anger was. And normally I would respond to it, but this time I didn't. And so that comment, which was coming towards me, kind of just like lost all of its power and it just fell away. And nothing happened about it. That the mean name that they called me, I wasn't that. And I wasn't gonna react to it. I wasn't gonna acknowledge it and give them the pleasure of hurting me with that. Now this person's provocative energy had nowhere to land. That's the beauty of it. Now this is not a quick fix solution. It took me time and effort to build up to that. And because of that emotional resilience and emotional awareness, I was able to see anger for what it is and not react to it. So it's not temporary. It stays with you for a long time and it grows stronger with you as you practice more. One of meditation's most profound gifts to me was that I finally got in touch with my authenticity, and I didn't even realize that I'd lost touch with it. Now, think about it. Our schools don't teach us how to be authentic. They teach us about science and math, but nobody teaches us about how to be genuinely ourselves. Instead, we are taught to shapeshift. We're taught to change according to circumstances. We're taught to say the right things, laugh at the right jokes, and agree with the right people. And I had become a master at this dance. But something started shifting as I kept up with this practice. I started getting more and more aware of what my internal self, what I call me, I guess truly wanted or truly behaved or felt like. It was like taking off a mask that I'd been wearing for a really long time. The first time this translated into action was really interesting for me. I was having coffee with a friend And in the conversation, he said something that I disagreed with. And normally I would just nod along and I would be like, yeah, okay, or maybe I'd change the topic. But this time I just observed what was going on inside me. I was like, okay, I disagree, but then I'm trying to hide that fact, and it made me a little bit uncomfortable. And because of the emotional awareness that I was building, I realized that. And then to my surprise, I heard myself saying, I don't really look at this thing the way you're looking at it. I have a different opinion. And when I said that, I realized that my heart also started pounding because I was, finally speaking my truth. But, the sky didn't fall. In fact, we had one of the most deep and meaningful conversations that we'd ever had. And that I attributed to meditation. And after that, all of my interactions was a practice for me to become more and more authentic, more and more who I am. And the fulfillment that I got from it, it's incomparable. But it's not always smooth sailing. Um, Sometimes it comes with real consequences. I learned this lesson the hard way with another friend that I used to collaborate with on various projects. In our conversations, he'd always portray himself as if he had done favors on me, throughout the projects or throughout the time we worked together. And he used to downplay the significant efforts that I'd put into the work myself, right? And I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel like he was being fair to me. But for the longest time, I was like, okay, this is fine. He's my friend. It's okay. He's just like that. But one day, something in me shifted. Instead of holding back, I finally voiced what I wanted to say to him. Uh, in one of his, disrespectful bouts, I stopped him in his tracks and I said, look, whatever you're saying to me right now, it really, really hurts me. And I feel like it's really unfair. And I just pointed out to him all the things that I'd been swallowing for this whole time. I didn't shout at him or scream at him or get angry at him. I just laid down everything that I'd been hurt by. And what happened the next day, it really surprised me. I found out that he had removed me from all his social media and we were not friends anymore. It's a powerful lesson that being authentic does not always lead to fairy tale endings. Sometimes it leads to broken friendships, but it gives you something really powerful, and that is a genuine relationship to yourself. Now, these experiences, they taught me something really crucial about authenticity. It's not always about getting whatever you want, but it's about finally being who you really are, finally speaking your mind without having that fear of rejection, having that fear of, somebody cutting you out of your life. Because if they cut you out of their life because of your truth, then they weren't right for you in the first place. Meditation hadn't added anything new in my life, honestly speaking. It simply helped me clear away the things that needed clearing away. It just showed me what it is that I need to do. And while some relationships might not survive this transformation, and those that do become deeper and more real. And the interesting thing is that most people actually respond to authenticity from you with their own, If you speak your truth, then it makes them comfortable enough for them to speak their truth as well. And the relationship automatically becomes really, really strong and deep. Now, any transformative practice, meditation isn't, always rainbows and sunshine. Let me share some of the real challenges that I've faced throughout my journey with meditation, both the obvious ones and the ones that really caught me off guard. The first challenge is, simple but crucial. It's the setting up the daily habit. Now, even after 2 years, I still face this challenge. It's difficult some days, but eventually it gets easier, and it can even get as easy as brushing your teeth. And speaking of brushing your teeth, one thing that I learned was that you can use this thing called habit stacking to develop any habit that you want. For example, take something that you do every day and add another habit that you want to do with that thing. So that thing comes together and then you do it every day. Every night, I have this routine of, okay, before I go to bed, I go to the toilet, freshen up, then brush my teeth, and then come back, moisturize a little bit, and sit for meditation. It just takes away this mental, decision making thing that you have to do. All right, okay, now I have to sit down and do. No, it becomes like a natural thing before you sleep. You do this, you do that, and then you meditate, and then you do something else. So it becomes a part of something that you do every day. Now, the real challenge begins when you actually sit down and start meditating. Now, meditation acts like a mirror. It shows you all these mental habits that you've built over the years, including the ones that you didn't even know you had. It's like finally cleaning your room after you've been, throwing random stuff into it for years and years. Now, throughout our normal day, we're constantly running from task to task, distraction to distraction, one thing and then the next and then the next. Now, the busyness of our daily life, it really helps us not look at the mental landscape that we've built over the years. But in meditation, there's nowhere to hide. You're faced to sit down with whatever you're feeling, be it anxiety, be it fear, be it longing or some desire to do something, all the old hurts or all the judgments that you make, and all the unprocessed emotions. This is where many people quit. Rarely do we acknowledge all the dirt that we've pushed under the rug of our mental landscape. But meditation just brings everything into light. It's like, turning on the light in a really dirty room where you have thrown all the stuff. And the thing is that meditation is not going to help you, clean up all that stuff. But what it does is it's like turning on the light. It shows you what is there and what you need to clean and what you need to throw, what you need to arrange into something new. And that is something that takes time and effort. But once you start doing that, the mental peace and all the other benefits that come with it are completely life transforming. When you start making space in your mental landscape, you get time and you get energy and you get all this space to do better things in life, all the things that you want to do, your actual self wants to do. The fascinating thing is that after all of these challenges, this transformation that occurs in you, and you change from being what I call a sink of despair into a fountain of love for other people. Another really underrated benefit is the confidence that comes from this practice. This confidence is not that shallow, superficial confidence, this air of, confidence that you put out in front of other people, but this is a more deeper confidence in knowing who you are on a deeply personal level, knowing what you want, what you don't want, what you want your life to be about. What happens is when you've done all of this, other people's issues don't affect you anymore. Sometimes other people's energies can be, it can affect you in a really bad way. But then once you do this, you're no longer reactive and you cannot be thrown off balance by what other people say or do in front of you. When someone shares their struggles, you can truly be there for them without getting mixed up in their drama or without just jumping into fixing things. You can hold space for them to understand themselves, just as you practice holding space for yourself. And I think this is exactly what we need in our world today. So much of human suffering comes from misunderstanding, from hasty assumptions, and from projecting our unresolved issues onto other people. It's like wiping clean a foggy mirror. Suddenly you can see both yourself and others more clearly. This shift alone makes all the challenges completely worth it. You're not only equipped to helping yourselves, but you also build capacity to help other people in your lives, your friends, your family, all the people you love. You're not just improving your own life, you're contributing to a more clear, more understanding world, one interaction at a time. Now think about where you were 3 months ago. If you had started this practice, you would already be experiencing the peace that comes from understanding your emotions better, and the confidence that comes from being more authentic, and the ability to stay grounded when life gets chaotic. But I don't have time. Trust me, you do. Cut off that little bit of social media time or movie time. Start small. Even 5 minutes is better than nothing. But I can't clear my mind. And here's the secret, nobody can. And it's not really about clearing your mind when you sit to meditate. All you do is, just watch your thoughts, watch what happens. The things that come from the benefits that come from meditation, it's from observing what is happening in your mind. That is it. It's not complicated, it's very simple. People make meditation very complex. There are so many different things you can do, so many different techniques, but in the end it just comes down to observation. It just comes down to observing what is happening with you. But what if it doesn't work for me? Well, I was the biggest skeptic, but I gave it the chance. I gave it a chance with an open mind, and I tried it for a few months. Now, the beauty of meditation is it meets exactly where you are. Whether you're stressed, anxious, or just curious to know what happens, it's going to be there for you. But you have to take that first step. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, set a timer for 10 minutes. Do it every day and see what happens.